Well, we enter the summer in this NFL offseason, and as we have mentioned, plenty of teams that are on the up and up and some looking not so hot. There's also some other teams who have been, let's say, in football purgatory. This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting, Adam Wright, CJ Medeiros, and Justin Tucker with you as always. And as we mentioned, we have a great show planned for you guys tonight. So we're going to talk about a lot of the teams who are directionless. Just doesn't look like they have picked where they are going to go. They don't look like they're going to rebuild, but they also don't look like they're ready to contend anytime soon. We're also going to talk about Justin Fields and how some league executives have gotten a little skeptical, spoken out about his abilities. Also, the Chiefs rumored to want a Mahomes restructure. Excuse me. So, how are we doing tonight, guys? We ready to talk some football?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, this is the funnest time ever to talk about football, right?
So exciting.
Summertime. But we believe we will have a summer where we will talk plenty of football, some player ranking, stuff like that. And we'll just ironing out the details. So we ask you to remain patient. Well, we appreciate your patience as we enter this summer and one of the great dead spots in the NFL world. But we're going to touch first on some of these directionless teams. And CJ gave off a bunch of names earlier on today. And I liked this one to top the list. I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a team that is a bona fide has-been, right? I mean, 3 years in a row, they were championship contenders. And now their star quarterback, Tom Brady, retired. The rest of the team kind of is aging, or if they're not aging, they're kind of towards the end of their primes. But they have Baker Mayfield at quarterback, and they haven't traded any of their star talent away to get to enter that rebuild yet. So what are we doing here, right? What are we doing over there, Buccaneers? CJ, what are your thoughts?
Now, obviously, I'm not inside the organization, so I can't speak on this for a fact, but I believe that Tampa still fancies itself a contender, seeing the state of the NFC South and the NFC as a whole. However, your quarterbacks are either going to be Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask. That isn't good. Kyle Trask was drafted way too high, and Baker Mayfield, I don't know if he can just live up to that first overall billing anymore. And I would suggest they tank, but it's weird because their roster's not bad enough for them to take, They have Mike Evans. They have Chris Godwin. They've got a really good center in Ryan Jensen. They've got another good O-lineman, Tristan Wirfs. On the defense, for now at least, you have Devin White and you have Vita Vea and you have they still have Antoine Winfield, right, at safety?
Yep.
And they still have their corner, Jamel Dean. So like I said, it's not a bad enough team to tank. That's the issue.
Damn good team around them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like, I don't know, they're probably going to try to get a legitimate quarterback this offseason unless Baker Mayfield has a Geno Smith type resurgence. But overall, like, they think they're contenders, I think, and they're not. Plain and simple, they're just not. They're going to be mediocre. Maybe they slip in as like the 7th seed in the playoffs, but then they're just going to get smacked.
They're not going anywhere, but
probably not. No.
Again, I'm not sure. Like, the problem is they're going in a direction where you think that they're that they're contenders, but at the same time, when you look at like their quarterback position and a few other myriad of pieces, it's like, nah, they're not going to contend. They'll be, I believe, like CJ said, they'll be a playoff team, like a 6 or 7 seed, but I don't think they'll go far in the playoffs unless they face off against Dallas, but that's neither here nor there. But when I look at this team, I'm like, Baker Mayfield, you could do worse at quarterback other than Baker Mayfield. If he performs to his best, I think you have a quality player. I think he wants to perform at his best considering what's happened to his career over the last few years, but I still think he can be that guy at quarterback. But this is obviously his last chance at being a full-time starting quarterback. When I look at the line that he has, I don't think they've replaced Donovan Smith yet. I don't believe, but they still have a quality right tackle in Tristan Wirfs, who I hope switches over to left tackle for Baker.
Well, by the way, they drafted the NDSU tackle Cody Mock. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Okay, so they do have a potential starter at that position. So, all right. So, would you rather Tristan Wirfs go over to left and put Mock at right just to be safe?
Absolutely.
That's probably where I would go to. They have a myriad of pieces, and that defense is still looking overall pretty good when they have Levante David and Devin White in the middle, along with Villa just clogging up the lanes. So overall, when I look at the NFC South, when I look at the NFC as a total, I'm like, not even by choice, by like virtue, they'll win games where they shouldn't, and they'll squeak into the playoffs, not even of their own volition, just because they'll just win enough games to make it, because I'm not sure how good or bad the NFC as a whole will be this year.
You know, I am very surprised with the consensus here on this podcast. I thought we would all be saying just sell the team and rebuild already, but I'm hearing a lot of right now, well, this team around the quarterback position is actually pretty good. And if they just had that one guy, then they could actually make it in the playoffs and perhaps make some noise. And
Not
that's a
by
fair
their choice. Not by choice. I mean, just look at the NFC. It's not like we're picking them because they're like contenders. It's because the NFC South is absolutely abysmal, and the entire NFC doesn't look that good all the way, outside of maybe like 3 or 4 teams.
Well, two things can be true at once. The NFC South sucks, but they also have a pretty talented team around the quarterback position.
That's
That,
true.
like, if they had that guy, they wouldn't just be contenders in the NFC South. They would also be able to make some noise in the NFC. Not to say that the NFC is any good a conference in itself, but like they have some talent around them. If you have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin as your wide receivers 1 and 2, as a New England Patriots fan, I would kill to have Godwin as the 1, but he's there too. Like, that's awesome. And like, if they just had that quarterback, but that's the problem. It's very hard to find that guy. And I don't think you're going to find that in Kyle Trask, and certainly not in Baker Mayfield either. So like, I just feel like it's so much easier if they were just to sell the farm and collect some assets and build for the future. You'd be fishing with plenty of high-end draft picks, and you'd probably get a lot of draft picks with the players that you trade away. Mike Evans would easily fetch a first-round pick. Same with Chris Godwin. And with some of the defensive free agents that you have, or players that you have under contract, I feel like you could get some good draft capital out of those guys too. So if you were to sell, you do pretty well with that. And I feel like this team would get back to contention a lot quicker than people anticipate if they manage it well enough, which it's Tampa Bay. So who knows if they can, but you know, that one, if they were to rebuild, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world either. But that's the problem. That's why we named them a directionless team. They don't seem like they've done enough to contend, but they haven't committed to rebuilding either.
True. I will say this about Mike Evans. I'm not sure they'll give a first rounder to get Mike Evans. They might give like a high second, but I don't think they'll give a first rounder just based on age. He's about to turn 30.
Hey,
So
I'm sorry.
No, continue.
If you trade 2 seconds, you could get a first.
You want to give up 2 seconds in Mike Evans just to get back a first?
No, I'm saying if you have enough day 2 picks collected, then you could trade into the first round as well.
It depends on where the Buccaneers will be at that time.
The New England Patriots do exist.
But another directionless team I want to talk about is kind of the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know where they're going because they don't have their franchise quarterback's kind of out for the season right now. So I don't think they're in contention, even though they have a few miscellaneous pieces. But I don't think they'll go far, even if they did make the playoffs. They don't have Kyler, and I don't know if DeAndre Hopkins will stay on the team, and I'm not so sure about their running game or their defense right now.
Yeah, that's a good pick, and that was a good one that was listed. But I mean, like that's a good pick because they have believe is their franchise guy. He has made a Pro Bowl in the past. He's put up pretty good statistics, but he's hurt. He's done for the year. And even when he was healthy, the team wasn't winning with him. And they have talent around him. So it's hard to say that they can just sell and go into rebuild mode. Actually, it's almost impossible because they have that quarterback. They can't just rebuild when you have the guy. And you can't contend because, number one, you don't have the quarterback healthy. And also, when he is healthy, the team isn't winning. So they're in a weird direction. And also, I don't know what to think about the organization now that we know that Cliff Kingsbury went to Thailand. Not only did he quit football, he went into complete exile. This is Yoda going to Dagobah. Failed to make the Arizona Cardinals relevant. Holy crap. I mean, it's bad when he's going out of the country. Man went off the grid. I still can't believe that. That's hilarious. When I got that notification, I laughed out loud, and I was in class. That was just hilarious. But like that's a directionless team. That's a good pick.
Anybody else want to talk about another directionless team?
Yeah, I'd like to throw one out there.
Yep.
Now consider, if you will, the Washington Commanders.
I think they're going in a direction. I wouldn't say they're directionless. They may be going in the wrong direction, but they're going in a direction.
Are they, though? Because I guess they're trying. It's like a Tampa thing. They think they can contend, but they're inarguably the best division in their conference because they're not better than Philly. They're not better than Dallas, and they're not better than New York.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The quarterback position is such a question mark. And they had Taylor Heineke, who's doing okay, but I feel like they kind of got worse at the position. Well, who do they have now?
Actually, they do have a good, decent guy. They have Jacoby Brissett.
Oh, come on, man.
That's
I feel like Heineke's a little better than Brissett. I mean, I
don't know.
I have a lot of respect for Brissett, former Patriots quarterback. Well, he was the third string, and he did a thing or two in Indianapolis, but I mean, I never saw him as the true guy who could lead a team to the playoffs. I think Heineke's a little better than him.
I could see either or. But based on what he did for Cleveland in the absence of Deshaun Watson, he's not bad for like a reliever quarterback when you have no other options.
Yeah.
Do a lot worse than Jacoby Brissett.
I mean, exactly.
The division.
And the division is tough. And yeah, the division's tough. It's tough when you have one team that made it to the Super Bowl and seemingly in some spots got better.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the Giants, who also made the playoffs and also made some improvements. Oh, I never even mentioned Dallas, who also was in the playoffs.
No,
holy crap!
You didn't have to.
Yes, I did, because they're going to be one of the better teams in the division.
Here's the thing,
and to say division is, if you're one of the better teams in the division, you're one of the better teams in the conference. So
until December.
Yeah, January. then all bets are off. But I mean, you have to make it to December if you're Washington. Actually, everyone makes December because the playoffs don't start until like the second week in January nowadays.
They were in playoff contention for some time until like I want to say week 13, 14, around that time when they just fell off.
No, something like that.
My thing is, what are they going to do with Chase Young? Because they declined his 5th-year option, so this is a prove-it year for him.
Yeah, he's just way too injury prone. That's the thing. It's like he had a good rookie year, and then what?
Mm-hmm. Even his rookie year, he wasn't anything special. I mean, he was a good, solid player.
Yeah, I was kind of underwhelmed.
Yeah, but still, if he's available, I want to pick him up.
I'll take him.
Yeah, but I mean, because the risk is well worth it.
I'll make him a New England Patriot.
I'll make him a Raven in a heartbeat. Just him on the edge with David Ojabo and Odafe Owe, or him inside Doesn't matter. I want to see what would happen.
He'd do some good things with Judon on the other side.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Ooh,
He would absolutely have to get one-on-ones.
let's see him as a free agent. This is going to be a good free agency class. Hopefully, we're still.
Oh, please. We all know what this is. Like every year, it's like, this is going to be a good free agency class. And that's what the media says. I'm not mocking you, Adam. I'm mocking the media. That's what they say. Oh, it's going to be a great free agency. All these. And then they all get tagged.
Yeah, that is true. A lot of players got tagged this offseason, too.
Yeah, and he's probably going to get tagged, too, because Washington will probably not want to lose him for nothing.
True. Still, though, if he's available and all it takes is what? A second or a third? I might
I'm not giving up a first, though. No way.
I'm not giving up a first.
That's still stupid. Give him the 5th-year option and then trade him.
Well, it's the Commanders, so I don't know what you want from me.
Can't do that. They've already declined it. Once you decline it, you can't give it back.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They should have picked up the 5th-year option because a player with 2 years on his deal is much more valuable than a player with 1.
But they're not the only ones that have been declining deals. The Ravens have declined Patrick Queen's 5th-year option. The year 2020 has just been a bad year overall for for rookies or for the draft class coming out.
Yeah, but you know who was a slam dunk was Mr. Joe Burrow over there.
Oh yeah.
There's Joe Burrow. There's Tua. There's Justin Herbert. There were some few diamonds in the rough. And Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
All right.
And Jordan Love. How did he get an extension?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's change gears here. So, as we've mentioned, Justin Fields, he's had a rough go at it in the NFL world for various reasons. And we would say that he has a pretty solid situation around him, probably the best that he has had in his NFL career. But some executives are still a little skeptical about what he's going to do during his career on the big league level. We're going to elaborate on that next. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. Adam Wright, Justin Tucker, and CJ Medeiros with you as always. So, according to it was Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, some executives around the league are skeptical of Justin Fields. So many team executives for the Bears have come out and disputed this. But I thought we'd take this chance to give some thoughts ourselves. So listen, Justin Fields is a quarterback. And with quarterbacks, you generally don't get the results in their first year, sometimes even 2. Especially when you look at the situation that's been around him, operating consistently behind the worst offensive line in all of football. Not enough weapons to throw to. As soon as Justin Fields was in, Robinson was out. And your number 1 was Darnell Mooney for years, and he didn't even have time to throw to him before he was put on his ass.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of look at that and I say, listen, you got to give him a chance. And right now he has probably the best opportunity to succeed that he has had in a very long, in his whole career. He has a very good offensive line, 2 bookends of tackles. You have good guys on the interior. You have your number 1 to throw to, which I never thought they would get this offseason in DJ Moore. You still have a number 2 in Darnell Mooney. You have Cole Kmet and the other kid they got from
Chase
Green
Claypool?
Bay. No. Tunyon.
From Green Bay. Oh,
Green
yeah, you
Bay.
mean the tight end Tunyon,
Name is Tunyon. Name was escaping me, and I wasn't gonna blank on it. But Chase Claypool too. So you have pieces around you, and so I mean, this is the make or break year for Justin Fields, as CJ so eloquently puts it so often. Put up or shut up. This is his time to shine, and if he doesn't, then we truly know that this guy cannot succeed in the NFL as a passer, because you have DJ Moore and so many other pieces to throw to now, and you have time to throw. No excuse now.
Whoa. We'll see about the time to throw. Let's wait until we actually see Justin Fields on the field. But I do think now that he has DJ Moore, a proven number one, Darnell Mooney, a number two, a very good number two. Khalil Herbert, I believe, is going to be a starting running back now. An improved offensive line and some pieces on defense is like, okay, this team can actually contend to make the playoffs. And overall, I want to see him improve as a passer, but again, he hasn't had the opportunity to because he's either running for his life or getting put on his ass. So I want to see him take the steps that we all know that he can be a franchise quarterback in the NFL. It's just a matter of, will he have the ability to show that, and will he be able to prove that in Chicago? I just want to see it.
Yeah, so like another thing to add is that there have been so many quarterbacks who have taken a couple years to learn how to throw in this league. And in fact, there are some noteworthy names, namely Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Both took a couple of years to enter the starting lineup consistently, and both won league MVPs in those second years. So once they figured it out, and there were plenty of reports during the time where it was shown that it didn't look good with their ability to throw the football. They were struggling. And then they figured it out. And it turns out they actually are damn good in this league. It's the same thing with Justin Fields. You have to give them you got to give them at least their 3 years. Sometimes less, but you got to give them that time. It was the same thing with Tua. And he showed that he could play until his brain turned to mush. Yeah, that's another conversation to be had, but I mean, like you got to give him his time, and Fields has not had the fair chance yet to go out and prove that he can play.
Yeah, I agree. So if you look at his first 2 seasons combined, he has 4,112 yards, 24 touchdowns, 21 picks. Second season, obviously a lot better than his first. And I feel like all the gripes with him aren't undue. And I remember there was somebody that I was talking to off the podcast, one of my football fan friends, who, kind of like Adam didn't liken it to Lamar Jackson, to which I say, I wouldn't go that far, because all the speculation is about Fields as a pocket passer. Everyone's like, oh, well, he's not. Well, look, I know this is the new age of the NFL. I know this is the mobile quarterback league, but you have to be at least somewhat decent pocket passer. Because let's face it, Lamar Jackson, I wouldn't even say decent. He's a pretty good passer when he's in the pocket. He's got an arm on him. And his accuracy is not too shabby, but Fields, he's got a lot to prove. And like Adam says that I say, this truly is the put up or shut up year. I'm noticing that's kind of a trend with a lot of the quarterbacks in his class. Him, Mac Jones, Trey Lance. That's neither here nor there. The thing is, Fields,
Trey Lance is only put up or shut up right now because all the guys around him are either getting their heads chopped off or they're leaving in free agency. So they literally have no chance. I mean, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Continue.
So the thing is with Fields, he, like you said, I mean, look, I've criticized him plenty, but it's true what you say, that he has not had a good weapon. He's not had good weapons. He's not had a good team around him. The offensive line was just 5 turnstiles. And now they went out, they addressed the line, they patched up a leaky defense, and they went out and got him a true wide receiver 1 and a good anchor right tackle in Darnell Wright. And running backs could be a little bit better, but Fields has enough on the ground to the point where I don't see it being that much of an issue.
I think they're
So,
fine there.
yeah.
We're forgetting they also got Deontay Foreman. So
And they
him with
drafted
Herbert,
Rashawn Johnson from Texas.
yeah. So I think they're pretty solid there.
Yeah.
They'll be good.
Now, the only way I would be more skeptical is if he fails this season after they give him what he needs. That's pretty much it. Jury's still out. I personally, I'm not as high on him as Adam is, but I think he's probably going to be fine.
Yeah, I think he'll be good. At the very least, Tua Tagovailoa level. But that's actually pretty good because you put Tua and what he did over a full season where he's not getting hurt all the time, then he's probably throwing over 30 touchdowns. And he's probably a Pro Bowler. And they probably also are a top 3 seed, which is really, really
also their
upsetting
division took a step back.
You mean the NFC North? I thought you were talking about the AFC East. No, that division is
no.
I was talking about
North
Tua.
for Chicago. Oh, okay, fair enough. But am I wrong though when I say he's got a chance because that division is not good? The Vikings are regressing. The Packers are dangerously close to going into rebuild mode.
Detroit's taking that division, but
probably
the Bears have a very good shot at sneaking in the playoffs and maybe winning a playoff game or so. But it'll also depend a lot on the defense. I mean, on the other episode, I asked what glaring weakness do the Bears have, and you guys pointed out the pass rush. And the more I think about it, I mean, they did address it. It's not going to be god awful. And it won't make them suck, but it's not all that good either. It's still probably bottom half of the league. And their secondary could still use some work. They still have pieces from when they were really good back in 2018, but they're still not that defense has a lot to prove. They have a lot to work on. Offense honestly looks like the bright spot right now, which we never thought we would admit.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely argue that. The Bears offense was so terrible for so long, and they can reverse all of that if Fields pans out. But if he doesn't, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
For their sake, he better.
All right. Well, it's all going to depend on how the season goes. I mean, it will be objective, how things go. It's very subjective right now because who knows what's going to happen. But we will figure that out as the next season, 2023, plays out. In the same way, we're going to find out if the Chiefs are really going to make Patrick Mahomes the most highest paid player in all of football before the season starts, which has been rumored to be a thing here. That's next. This is the Fumblerooski podcast. Welcome back to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. Adam Wright, Justin Tucker, CJ Medeiros, as always. So, according to a report by Mike Florio of NBC Sports, apparently the Chiefs are expected to make Patrick. So he expects that the Chiefs will make Patrick Mahomes the most highest paid player in NFL history before week 1. Which means to restructure his contract. Now, I am old enough to remember when the Chiefs gave Patrick Mahomes a 10-year, $503 million deal.
Yeah.
That was the max. That was the max value. And I listen, because of the structure, he may not be in some ways the highest paid player right now, but he's still getting paid a lot of money. And I guess I'm giving my opinion here right away. But if you are already paying this guy, which is usually hard, it's hard to pay the quarterback and win the Super Bowl at the same time. They managed to do that. Why make the situation worse for you? Especially with how much you have struggled financially at the wide receiver position. You had to chase Tyreek Hill out the door because you couldn't pay him and he wanted to be paid. And you managed to win with scraps. I mean, not scraps is a little tough. That's a
Yeah, I was
little
gonna
harsh.
say.
Scraps is a little harsh because you have Juju Smith-Schuster, you got Kadarius Toney, you had Mecole Hardman, but the fact that you managed to win it with that, why make that situation harder on yourself? Especially since Patrick Mahomes actually does seem to be happy. Don't just do it just because you should. Because he's earned it. He might have earned it, but don't you want your team to win more? I'm sure Patrick Mahomes would appreciate it if you continue to win Super Bowls, and he's still making a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thoughts there. I thought, like, why do that now? You were able to solve the Rubik's Cube that so many league executives have not been able to do, and you're making it harder on yourself. And Mahomes is in the middle of the prime of his career. Surround him with more talent and win him some Super Bowls. That'll make him happy. He's already being paid a lot of money. Don't make it worse on yourself. Don't do that when you don't have to. If he demands money, that's a completely different scenario. If he wants to be the highest paid and he is demanding it, very different. But right now, if he's not really asking for it, then don't give it to him.
I feel like why not? We might as well get ahead of this. I mean, this is going to happen eventually because he's going to ask for more guaranteed money based off what he's done in comparison to other franchise guys or people who are believed to be franchise quarterbacks. So I'm like, if he believes he wants a bump in pay and the Chiefs think that he deserves it, I'm like, sure, let's get it done. Let's make him the highest paid quarterback in the league. I don't see the issue with it because he's shown in past years he's able to work with less as long as he has Travis Kelce on the field with him. So I'm like, why not give him a chance? Let's see what he can do. Let's keep it going.
So here's the thing. This, as Adam pointed out, seems to be entirely self-inflicted. He hasn't demanded this money. And all reports are showing that this is not his idea. And honestly, I think it's pettiness. Is Mahomes the best quarterback in the league? Absolutely. And the Chiefs don't seem to be able to stand the fact that someone per year is getting paid more, so they're going to load more money in there. But it's weird because they don't have to. And I don't even know if Mahomes is the type of guy that's going to demand an extension, considering like how even though they just won a Super Bowl, they've lost a lot of pieces. And even still, you could argue they've regressed further, especially on offense, at least in the receiver room, because you lost Tyreek Hill, but that's okay. You have Hardman and you got Juju. Well, guess what? No more Juju and no more Hardman. And I said this, I think, last episode. What's going to happen if Travis Kelce goes down? Once that security blanket goes down, I'm not saying Mahomes is going to suck, but it's going to be hard. And their defense is taking a step back. They no longer have Frank Clark because, they could not afford Frank Clark. And a few years ago, they lost Tyrann Mathieu and they lost another corner whose name escapes me, Travarius Ward, I believe. So I'm just saying, you also have a lot of good young players like Isaiah Pacheco and Nick Bolton and Creed Humphrey who are going to be coming up on paydays. And I don't think they're going to be too keen on taking a team-friendly deal. So it's just at the end of the day, even though I said it could be pettiness, the question's still, why would you do this? It's very out of left field and it makes no sense. I mean, God forbid you use what little bit of cap space you have left to go trade for DeAndre Hopkins or an actual real receiver one. I don't understand.
Yeah, the team has so many needs, and it feels like that would be a luxury signing. Like if you had the rest of the team, the rest of your ducks in a row, and your wide receiver room is set, but they don't have that. In fact, it's actually looking quite flawed. They didn't only lose Juju Smith-Schuster, they also lost Mecole Hardman. So they lost a lot of pieces over this offseason that they didn't replace. And now you want to pay the quarterback and use that little cap space you have left? It just like none of it makes sense. And you have managed to figure it out to this point. Why make it harder on yourself? Like, why make that harder on yourself if he hasn't actually directly asked, demanded that he wants to be paid more? Because he's already being paid a lot. Like, why would you want that to be a flex? To have the highest paid quarterback in all of football. Who cares if he's the highest paid? We all know who's the best. Jalen Hurts is not better than Patrick Mahomes. So who cares? Let it go. Let the Eagles sit on the couch while you go and win Super Bowl after Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes, giving him actual weapons to throw to. There's just none of that part made sense. I spat out my coffee when I heard this report, and I wasn't even drinking any.
But
Damn, I didn't think it was that funny.
No, it was the delivery. It was the delivery.
It was unexpected.
Yeah. But I mean, Adam, you do have a point. And like I said, and like you alluded to, I really think it's pettiness. That's got to be what it stems from. And as an organization, does it suck that he's not the highest paid? Maybe a little. But at the end of the day, you need that money to, fix the rest of your team, specifically the defensive backfield and your wide receiver room.
Yeah, the defensive backfield's all right.
They got Trent McDuffie. They'll be fine-ish.
And he did what last season exactly?
He'll have a bounce back. He'll bounce back.
We'll see.
He was a rookie.
To bounce back, you have to have a good season first.
Fair. Listen, I think he'll be better than what he was last year. And even still, they won the Super Bowl with him being subpar than what we all believe he was.
Yeah, but was that him in the defense, or was that actually?
They also had Justin Reed. Their defense was all right. That was probably the most, despite the personnel issues on offense, that was probably the most well-rounded Chiefs team in recent memory. Like that was probably the better one that they've had.
He's forgetting like 2019 wasn't here not too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that defense wasn't great. I mean,
it was better than this one.
Mm-hmm. You gotta remember that defense did give up 35 points to Philly.
It did. But Jalen Hurts also had himself a hell of a game. And that Eagles offense was pretty good.
Yeah,
that Eagles offense was pretty good. And they also had other issues, I mean, it was all in the running game. But all right. So that covers it. But do we have any other thoughts before we end the show tonight?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, the Orioles beat the Rays tonight. I'm in a good mood. Let's get it. Yeah.
Shoot, I forgot about the Red Sox. I'm not even gonna check the score.
Why not?
I'll check it right now. Oh, they're up 3-2.
I don't even watch baseball, so I really don't care.
Yeah, well, you're missing out.
No, I'm not.
Well, if you're a Red Sox fan, you're not missing out. But all right, guys.
Sad I'm missing out on the soul-crushing boredom. Well, I mean, if you're at the game, it's one thing. Because I've been to many baseball games. Those are fun, but on TV,
All right. Well, that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. We have new episodes out on Tuesdays and Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have all our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and so much more. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcasts and latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Over and out.